Hello and welcome. Today we are preserving some tiny purple, pink, and yellow flowers in resin. So I am using a purple pink Statice. I think that's what the flower is called. Please don't kill me. I don't know how to exactly pronounce it, but that's the flower I'm using today. And I'm doing a style of a black background where the flowers kind of almost sink in and then clear on top. So I really liked how this looked. I saw it in another video and I just thought it was so pretty. My first concern was I didn't know how these tiny flowers were going to do or that is when drying them, but they actually held together very well and were very strong. So they turned out really great. I don't think it's a typical flower that I've at least seen in resin before, so thought it'd be fun to try something new. But yeah, here you can see me. I am just pouring in my black resin background and then popping any of those bubbles. I think in the future, if I was to do it again, I would do a little bit thinner layer of black, let that cure, and then do another layer of black. So just so that the flowers don't sink in too much. It wasn't too bad, but just what I do in the future. Here you can see my little thing of flowers. They are all dried and perfect for putting in resin. So just gonna go ahead and figure out my design and kind of, go from there. I really loved these little yellow flowers and I kind of wanted them to be somewhat the main piece. My husband's favorite color is yellow and mine is purple, so I was like, this is great. And so I can just, messing around, putting them where I think. I had to trim a lot of them just so that they'd fit in the resin and that it wouldn't be like weird or, they'd sit oddly. So that's what you can kind of see me doing here, just trying to figure out my design and put it together all cute. I think this is probably the funnest part of doing any floral in resin, is just kind of designing it and figuring out where each flower would look best and, placing them just in the perfect spot. This one was a little bit more difficult too, just because it wasn't like a big flower or rose per se that was kind of like the centerpiece. It was just a bunch of tiny little flowers making up one beautiful piece. By the way, the resin that I am using today is Resin. Really love them. I've never had issues with them before, and I just like how their resin turns out and how, few bubbles that you can get from it. So definitely recommend them if you're starting out, or if you don't want to do math like me, since it is a 1-to-1 ratio. Here you can see me placing some more flowers just to try to fluff it up a little bit. Since, as you can see, some of them are starting to kind of sink down a little bit into the resin, so I just want to make sure they look nice and fluffy. Okay, so we have that first layer done and she is looking cute. Really like this layout. It's just simple and just something I haven't seen before, which is always fun to do because sometimes you just see the same things over and over and it's like, I need to do something different. I keep mine protected with a little, it's like a fly net type thing, although I could be using a tote or something like that. That might work a little bit better, but in this video, that's what I did. Here I am pouring my first layer of clear resin. You don't want to pour too much, otherwise you could fast cure it and then it could potentially destroy some of the flowers. So that's why you'll see me going layer by layer, just slowly, or any video that you see with flower preservation, you kind of have to go layer by layer because you don't want to destroy the flowers and all that hard work in resin, especially that you've put into the piece. Also, something I would add, if I was to do this again, not if, whenever I do this again, I would recommend, if you have a pressure pot, doing, I guess, a session in the pressure pot after each layer. Because my first couple layers had a couple of bubbles. They're not bad or anything, but not as aesthetically pleasing as I would like. So if I did this again, I would definitely put it in the pressure pot after each layer. You'll see me placing some of the tiny individual flowers here. I was like, oh, that would be so cute. And then I returned the next day and they were gone. So if you're wondering where they went, I don't know either. They just disappeared, but I tried. It would have been cute, but it's okay. Maybe next time, maybe a different flower, something that isn't so tiny and see-through, but I know. Taking my isopropyl alcohol again and just spraying those surface bubbles since I don't want to fry them with my heat gun. And then we are on to the next day. I believe this is the third pour. Yep, third pour. Got my clear resin again. I put it in my resin bubble remover, which kind of helps get rid of some of those micro bubbles. So there's just less to pop once you pour it in. And here I noticed there was like some dust or something. I don't even know. But I was just trying to get it off before I poured that resin in. I always make sure to not waste any resin because if you know, resin is expensive. And the last thing I want it to do is sit and cure in a cup. That's not going towards anything. Now I'm just taking my heat gun again and getting some of those bubbles, trying to stray away from directly on top of the flowers as to not burn them or hurt them in any way. See, now is where I was like, oh, I should use my pressure pot. So 3 layers in, I realized, and it got smart. But this is my pressure pot, Bessie. She is fantastic. I love her. I actually just got a new insert for her, so doing stuff like this will be even easier. And definitely, if you're doing a lot of resin projects or things that have to have no bubbles, I would recommend one of these.
We are on the 5th and final pour. She is almost done. As you can see, there's a little bit popping out. So I'm gonna do that pour and should be good to go.
Wow, I can't believe we're on the final layer. This has to be one of the most satisfying layers because you just get to finally seal your piece and finish it off and everything's covered and beautiful. Pour my resin and then of course my heat gun. Love my heat gun. Trying to evenly get all those little tiny bubbles because if there's bubbles on this layer, it's not gonna look good. But thankfully I will be putting it in the pressure pot, so she should be gorgeous. Okay, we are back inside and just going to wait for it to cure. Probably gonna give it like, I don't know, maybe a day or two, just depending before I demold it, and then we'll show you the final result. It's finally time! She is cured! We are finally done. Definitely a long process, but worth it. I am using water, just a little bit of water spritz in the mold to kind of help get it out. And wow, she is so beautiful. I absolutely love the black background that it has and just how it makes the flowers pop out and just looks so great. Like, I had high expectations for this, but it just blew me away. Like, I love this flower and how they turned out, and I am so happy that we are finally done with this. But gosh, just look at her. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Definitely recommend doing this. If you have flowers or you know someone that does resin or you do resin, Definitely recommend it. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. Have a good day.